merger. So merger is the correct political word because Hyderabad state, a princely state, was not liberated as the wishes of people and something else. It is Indian Union taking over the Hyderabad state, which is an independent state. So there are many things unfolding in this period. Basically, this story goes back to 1947 August 15th. 1947 August 15th, India became independent. But at the time, there were many princely states which were independent. They were not part of the British India so that it can be part of the independent India. There were many princely states which were independent and having treaties with British independently apart from the British Indian part. So the part of British is becoming independent, but the parts, not just part, because there were many princely states. Hyderabad was one of the princely state ruled by Nizams. 𝗬𝗓𝗪 is the dynasty and Nizam is the title we call. So Nizam 1, Nizam 2. The last Nizam was the 7th Nizam, 𝗓𝗏 𝗠𝗃. Our story is going back to the 7th Nizam, 𝗓𝗏 𝗠𝗃's period. Hyderabad's merger should be discussed under these following topics. One is merger of Hyderabad state into Indian Union in 1948 and how the things have unfolded in this period. What were the political aspects, what were the military aspects, and what is the background? All these things will be discussed today. Second is the policies under military rule and 𝗹𝗁𝗺𝗧 civilian government between 1948 to 1952. And the last part is violation of Mulki rules and its implications. All these things are happening between 1948 to 52. So, first we are talking about the background. In the background, the first and foremost aspect is Mountbatten Plan. What is Mountbatten Plan? Mountbatten Plan was unveiled just when the India is going to become independent. According to Mountbatten Plan, the princely states were given the choice to either remain independent or to accede either into India or Pakistan. So there was a choice before the princely states. What is the choice? There are three choices, not just two. Either to join Pakistan or India is not the thing. You can be independent, and so Nizam chose the other option, not joining in Pakistan, not joining in India. So 𝗓𝗏 𝗠𝗃, the 7th Nizam, wrote a letter to Viceroy on 8th August 1947, choosing to be independent. But this was not accepted by many people. Who are the people who can accept it or who can fight it? That is Indian state. Indian state headed by Jawaharlal Nehru, Home Minister 𝗹𝗁𝗺𝗃 𝗵𝗫. And the scenario is completely different. What is happening on one side? Pakistan is settling as a separate state. India is also settling down as a separate state. So in between Pakistan and India are trying to gain their strengths. And Jammu Kashmir, Junagadh, Hyderabad, these three are the controversial points. We are not bothered about Kashmir and Junagadh today. As far as our topic is concerned, we are concerned about Hyderabad. So what is happening in Hyderabad is, there are many theories. Actually, whenever we talk about such political things, such incidences or such historical junctures, there are many misconceptions. Unless and until we know the real sources, we can't understand what was happening. General feature is people were completely inviting Indian army, so Indian army came and they have liberated Hyderabad. This is the general notion. Second notion is Rajakars are the most cruelest persons, so people were against Rajakars and Indian army liberated it. This is the second notion. But many people do not know that there are three parties. One is Nizam and his feudal lords supporting Rajakars. The second party is communists. The third party is Indian Union. So three parties are there at this juncture. We are going to deal with the three aspects in this period. Much less about Telangana armed struggle and communists, but more about Indian Union and Nizam. So what are the sources to study the merger topic in 1948? One is Integration of Indian States by V.P. Menon. This is a very important book. written by V.P. Menon. V.P. Menon was the Secretary of the States. Means he was dealing with the affairs of the states. Integration aspect was completely in the hands of Patel and Menon. So he is one authoritative person who can give you the account of merger period. Second book is Hyderabad of the Seven Laws, written by Major General 𝗟𝗏, the General Military General Chief of Army of Nizam. Third one is Tragedy of Hyderabad, written by Mir Layak Ali, that is Prime Minister of Hyderabad, the last Prime Minister of Hyderabad, who was under house arrest after the merger, after the military's accession of Hyderabad state. Next book is End of an Era. This is another important man. He has written, K.M. Munshi has written a book, End of an Era, Hyderabad Memoirs. He was writing the political accounts, how things unveiled in Hyderabad in 1948. And the next book is, important book is General J.N. Chaudhary's autobiography, narrated to one B.K. Narayan. In this, General Chaudhary has said how he was entering into Hyderabad, what were the routes and what was the conditions. Even he was explaining how the Hyderabad state was then, how Hyderabad, because he served in Hyderabad before also. So he was giving a beautiful account about Secunderabad and Hyderabad and Dakkani culture. He was appreciating all those things. But this time, in this book, he is talking about how the army has entered into Hyderabad and re-entered into Secunderabad cantonment and took over the power in Hyderabad state. And the other book is The Destruction of Hyderabad by A.G. Noorani. A.G. Noorani is a political scientist. He has written a beautiful account how things were unveiling, what are the angles, different angles which other books are also not giving. Traditional accounts see in a very traditional light, but A.G. Noorani's account is completely different. So, now we'll talk about the important people who are the players in this period. One is Jawaharlal Nehru, the Prime Minister, and Vallabhbhai Patel, the Home Minister, and Mountbatten, as we have talked about his plan. His plan is the major plan. Because of his plan, Nizam chose to be independent. Then Mir Usman Ali Khan, the King, the Nizam of Hyderabad. Then V.P. Menon, Secretary of the States. Then Idrus, the Commander-in-Chief of Hyderabad State. Then Mir Layak Ali, the Prime Minister. And lastly, Walter Monckton, legal advisor of Nizam. Many of the books do not give the account of Walter Monckton also. Walter Monckton was a senior politician, businessman of Britain, who was the legal advisor of Nizam. So, Nizam tried to be independent till the last moment. Even on 14th August 1947, he was writing letters to the Crown representative, and he was asking the Crown representative not to abandon him, because till then Nizam was completely a close ally. Starting from 1857, when they have closely allied with British in subjugation of first war of Indian independence. When Torebaz Khan fought, they sided with British and helped the British resident. So since then, British had closest relations with Hyderabad. They were the trusted allies. Even in 1800 itself, Hyderabad was the first state to enter into the agreement to take the armies to save Nizam state, which is known as subsidiary alliance. So Hyderabad was the first state to take subsidiary alliance, to sign subsidiary alliance. Then 1857 becoming a trusted ally, and continuation of all these things. That is why this Nizam was saying that he was pained for abandoning the old ally and unilaterally disbanding all the treaties and leaving us for our fate. This was a letter written to Crown Prince by Nizam. So, Nizam did not leave any stone unturned to become independent, to stay independent. But Nehru was talking about taking away the independence from Nizam and making Hyderabad part of India. Governor General, even in the Constituent Assembly, on 15th August, he was stating that the only state of the first importance that has not acceded is the premier state of Hyderabad. This is happening on 15th August. India, a new state is coming into existence, a new nation in that sense. At the dawn itself, India was talking about taking the independence of Hyderabad and making Hyderabad part of India. So Governor General's speech is talking about Hyderabad. They called it as a premier state. And Mir Nawaz Jung, the Agent General of Hyderabad in London, was trying to lobby with the powers of those days, like Clement Attlee, the president, the British Prime Minister, Henry Truman, United States of America's president. All these things they were trying in all this meantime. And finally, they have approached United Nations Security Council. On August 21st, 1948, Nizam's cablegram to United Nations Security Council was sent, and under the United Nations Charter Article 35 to subsection 2, the application or the complaint of Nizam was filed in United Nations Security Council. And then the Security Council was in session. 357th session was being held at Paris. And in that session, first time they have taken up this into their agenda. And again, though it was accepted, it was not discussed. 12th and 13th August, again sending telegrams. Again on 16th September, all this is happening in 1948. 1 year has elapsed. Like 1947, India gained independence. Till then, what they were having in Hyderabad state, we'll see. But the gap between 47 independence and 48 approaching Security Council, we are recounting the dates. 16th September and 17th September, again, the Security Council has taken up the issue of Hyderabad. And 20th September, Nizam has surrendered. But we are going back. On 12th and 13th August, they sent cables. On 16th September, 17th September, discussion was being held. But really, the operation, military operation, which we are talking about as Operation Polo, through which India has entered into Hyderabad state, started on 13th and ended on 17th. So, 16th September and 17th September were important dates, but United Nations Security Council could not discuss the issue. Only primary talk was there. It's because the representatives of Indian state were not ready to discuss. The Mudaliar, who was representing Indian state, said, I have to talk to the government, then only, Indian government, then only I can give you the answers. So automatically it's postponed. But on 20th September, by the time, 20th September 1948, Nizam surrendered. On 17th itself, surrender is happening. So on 20th September, since Nizam has surrendered, now the issue has been completely changed. The change of issue is like the United Nations Security Council is trying to discuss whether Nizam's withdrawal of application was genuine or under duress. So what has happened? The first application was, India is invading Hyderabad. India is invading, please save us. Please ask India to not to interfere into our affairs. This was the application. But this application is completely changing its tone. Now, United Nations Security Council is discussing whether this application, actually on 17th, after 17th, Nizam was sending a cablegram, withdrawing the application under the duress actually. When you are surrendering, you are under duress. But United Nations Security Council is discussing whether this withdrawal of application is under duress or genuine. So, United Nations Security Council or Clement Attlee or Truman or international fora could not come to the help of Nizam. This is one thing. Because of many aspects. Immediately after the UNSC, India became a member in United Nations Security Council also. So, a violator in the sense of political terminology became a member. The complainant completely got surrendered. This is what political scholars discuss about United Nations Security Council and the relation of Nizam state. So, even after this, the accession means taking over of Hyderabad was an issue which was not a good issue for India's political prestige. It was a thorn. It was an embarrassment. So, it is unfolding in a different dimension. We will talk about it, how it is unfolding. But still, at the center, in the international fora, this act of accession was still alive. Because though Nizam is not raising the issue, who will raise the issue? The issue will be raised by Pakistan. Because Pakistan is also representing in United Nations Security Council or other foras. So what happened at United Nations Security Council? Ramaswamy Mudaliar was the representative of Indian government. Nawab Moin Nawaz Jung was the representative of Hyderabad state. On December 20, 1949, now I am going 1 year further. 47 independence, 48 applications and taking over of Hyderabad or merger of Hyderabad with Indian Union. Now December 20, 1949, Moin Nawaz Jung appealed to United Nations to pressurize India to release the political prisoners. You see the change of demand. Previously the demand was to save Hyderabad from the accession, to save Hyderabad from India's interference. Now it is not the issue. The only appeal before the United Nations was to pressurize India to release the political prisoners. So you can see political prisoners, many ministers, many popular figures of Nizam state were under house arrest or arrested. So political prisoners should be released. This was the demand. So finally, what do you want to say is, United Nations issue has never been an issue for India. It could easily counter the United Nations issues, but Hyderabad state umpteen number of times tried to take the help of the international fora, but it could not succeed. So finally, to escape from the legal issues, illegal issues will be there. What are the legal issues? This is accession, military rule and everything. So to escape such issues, even the military was asking the Nizam to issue farmans on his name. Though it is the military government under J.N. Chowdhury, the farmans were issued under the name of Nizam. This is very interesting. First thing is the operation, military operation was called as police action. Second thing is, even after the occupation, even after the merger, or even after occupying the power in Hyderabad, military was talking as the military rule, but the farman was issued under the name of Nizam. This is to escape the legal issues, to escape the international wrath. To show that, you can say that Nizam is the real ruler since he is issuing the farmans. We are following it. Military is just assisting him in law and order. This was the thing. But here also, I would like to say about a few words about Nizam when I am talking after a few minutes. After Operation Polo, how Nizam has changed his stance before the Indian government, we can talk about. Anyway, now let's talk about the Standstill Agreement. Standstill Agreement is an agreement, a standard agreement between two parties always. Standstill means I will not aggress, you will not aggress, and we have some common things, and we will have some pact, and you will deal with such issues. This is Standstill Agreement. Standstill as we are. Indian policy is to having two things, two sides of the weapon. One is letters of accession. Second thing is Standstill Agreement. What are the letters of accession? For example, Indian state is approaching any nation, any independent principality or any princely state, they will be giving the letters of accession. If the leader, if the king of the principality or the prince is ready to accept this accession, just he will sign, and immediately that state will merge into Indian Union. Second thing is, if someone is not willing, you can enter into Standstill Agreement, where the subjects like defense, external affairs and communication will be dealt by India, and the remaining the princely state can be deal with. So this is Standstill Agreement. Since Nizam is not ready to accept the letters of accession, not ready to sign the letter of accession, so automatically Standstill Agreement is the only solution before the Indian state. The standstill document was prepared by Nizam and sent to Indian state or central government, Indian government, and the draft was redrafted by V.P. Menon, and many new clauses were added, and finally that Standstill Agreement was signed. That was signed on 29th November 1947. So Standstill Agreement is an important document, and to supervise whether the Standstill Agreement is being properly implemented or not, whether it is being implemented or violated, someone has to see, supervise. So for that supervision, 𝗂𝗽𝗏 was appointed as India's Agent General in Hyderabad to supervise the agreement. So 𝗂𝗽𝗏, remember this name. Just now I talked about end of an era. Hyderabad Memoirs is the book he has written. He played a very important role at a crucial juncture of merger. So 𝗂𝗽𝗏 was supervising, and in the meanwhile, we can see the Standstill Agreement is in active thing. So at that point, there are violations and both the parties are accusing the other party as violators. For example, Nizam was accused of lending 15 million pounds to Pakistan. This accusation was made by Indian Union. Nizam gave 15 million pounds loan. That is, giving loan to an enemy will not be good for the Indian state. This is what Indian state viewed. So this was a crucial aspect. They were saying that you are subversive. This is subversive. They used in some of the documents. Second thing, 𝗳𝗏𝗃 that is 𝗳𝗏 MIM or 𝗳𝗏 and its wing Razakar's activities were also discussed. And railway traffic also discussed. Actually, Nizam is misusing the railway traffic and taking many things. This is another accusation. From Nizam side, accusations are demands to Indian Union. Indian Union has what you call taken up, they have issued embargo. What do you mean by embargo? Means some of the items, listed items under the GOs will not be carried in the railways into Nizam state. Even salt-like things were not allowed into Nizam state via Madras province. Salt, medicine, cycles, bicycles, a big items like ginger oil, coconut oil, such things were banned from taking from Madras province into Hyderabad state. So these are the things. Non-sale of weapons, according to Standstill Agreement, these people were given a choice that Indian government will supply the arms to Nizam. And after the Standstill Agreement in implementation, Nizam was not getting arms. This is another debate. He was writing letters to Indian Union for arms. So all these things are important in Standstill Agreement. Remember, this is all the background. Before Operation Polo, all these things are happening. Parleys at the international arena. Discussions with the Indian government. And Indian government not ready to accept independence to Hyderabad. That's what we have to understand. So as a result, Operation Polo was started. They have started Operation Polo. They have sent the armies into Hyderabad state. Operation Polo, it was named as Operation Polo because Hyderabad at that time had large number of polo grounds, more number of polo grounds than any other city in India. So polo, polo is a royal game. People will be sitting on the horsebacks and playing hockey-like game and you will be having goals. That is polo, a royal game. So Operation Polo was the name of this. At times it is also known as Operation Caterpillar. So Operation Polo, Operation Caterpillar, or the third one, police action. Police action was the term given by the political people in the political parlance to disguise the military action. Disguising means to conceal the military action. If you say police action, it is limited to law and order. If you say it is military action, it is like aggression. It is like occupying another country. So this was the thing. Finally, on 13 September, morning 1948, the police action in terms of Indian state or Operation Polo in terms of military rule, military parlance or military terminology started just after one day gap of the death of 𝗵𝗚 Jinnah. This was a tactical time. Jinnah died on 11th. Jinnah's death is definitely a blow to Pakistan state. Pakistan state will be completely preoccupied in the mourning and the resettling the aspects after Jinnah's death, political aspects. So that is a crucial time, that is a tactical time. India could take up this accession aspect, means they can send armies and take over Hyderabad state into Indian Union. So this was a tactical step by Indian Union. Just one day after the death of Jinnah, they have initiated this Operation Polo. To understand what is Operation Polo in terms of the understanding, political understanding of leaders, we can see the statements. Nehru repeatedly talked about accession. In many of the newspapers they have reported in 1949, in many of the meetings he clearly said, there are only two courses now open to Hyderabad. One is war or accession. War will take too long. So there is no other go for Hyderabad. It has to accept the accession. This he was saying in the AICC session, All India Congress Committee session. in 1948, 25th April. So this is Nehru's tone. Then we cannot allow any feudal government like Hyderabad, he was saying in many other newspaper clippings, and we can see. And talking to reporters, he was talking about Hyderabad. And the man who was the Home Minister, who was crucial in merging the Indian states, that is 𝗧𝗏 Patel. He said, Hyderabad is like cancer in India's belly. This was the statement of 𝗧𝗏 Patel. So, Indian political leaders has seen this entire issue of merger of Hyderabad state as an urgent need. Why they have to merge Hyderabad state? Because of tactical reasons, because of its geographical position, because of its economic reasons. For example, if you take tactical, India, you see the map. If you see the Indian map, there will be a huge area which is not Indian territory if Hyderabad is independent. A huge territory. Another country means definitely India may feel that this is not good for its sovereignty. And at the same time, there will be issues between these two countries like external affairs, how to move into the other country also. Because they are two countries if they are independent. Second thing is Hyderabad's strategic position. Hyderabad is strategically located, remember. That is why in 1857, when 𝗃𝗧𝗏 Khan was revolting, a letter from the governor of Bombay Presidency was clearly mentioning about, if Hyderabad is lost, everything is lost. It means Hyderabad plays a very important role in this region because it is the juncture where you go to south, where you go to west, where you go to east. So east, west and south after Vindhyas, Hyderabad is the juncture. Without passing through the Hyderabad state, you cannot go to these areas. This is very strategic. And third one is, since it is a huge area, you have lot of people with you, a huge population, lot of resources, and Hyderabad should be part of Indian Union. This is the philosophy of Indian state. This is the understanding of Indian state in this period. Because Nizam, a feudal leader, a feudal king, was not ready to accept to merge into Indian Union, because he wanted to be in independence. There is another wrong propaganda about the Prime Minister, Layak Ali, and there is wrong propaganda of Nizam that he wanted to join Pakistan. There are no discussions about joining in Pakistan. Definitely they are having relations with Pakistan like any other diplomatic relations. Enemy's enemy is my friend. This was the thing happening. Because if we see the accounts of Layak Ali, we can see clearly what are the parleys, what are the discussions being held with Pakistan. All the documents were archived. So this is not hearsay we are doing. Hearsay we are saying. This is Hyderabad wanted independence. This is the only thing. But at times, definitely Pakistan will come into existence, come in between India and Hyderabad as a checkmate. That's it. Nothing more than that. So, Operation Polo was the main activity of Indian Union to take away the independence from Nizam. So, Operation Polo. Operation Polo, as we have already discussed, it is the name of military parlance for police action in terms of political parlance. So, whatever you call Operation Polo or police action. The nature of the whole activity is military, it's not police. They are not coming and arresting and keeping some people in the jails and protecting law and order. They are coming with tanks. They are coming from different directions, piercing the borders of Hyderabad state. So let's see what has happened in Operation Polo. Police action was just a military thing. So automatically we can understand this is a pure military action. So who will lead it? The army generals will be leading the whole activity. Major General J.N. Chaudhary was coming from the west side, that is Sholapur Hyderabad road, led to the whole activity, the army's entry into Hyderabad from west side. Today we call from Jahirabad, Pathancheru and Hyderabad, Secunderabad, Hyderabad. And east side we had Masulipatnam or Machilipatnam. Masulipatnam is the word most of the books used. So Machilipatnam was the border, Machilipatnam, Hyderabad road. led by Major General Rudra. Machilipatnam Hyderabad road means it comes via Nalgonda district, Kodada, Nakrekal and this one. So Operation Polo started on 13th September 1948, exactly 4 a.m. in the morning. When it started, the information reached 𝗟𝗏𝗧𝗚, the Commander-in-Chief of Hyderabad State, and they were also ready to attack or counter-attack or defend. So definitely this is the fight between the two. In general, we think that it is fight between the two states. But very interestingly, in whole aspect, the Indian army which was proceeding from west, I am taking one route, that is from west, they were occupying one town after another and bombarding the areas. Some of the areas, like some of the bridges, they are removing and occupying the towns. This is the process they are entering into Hyderabad. So it started on 13th September, ended on 17th September, and the Indian army has 5 points of entry into Hyderabad state. These 5 points are, one is from west, one is from east. These are the two major. Other things are also there, the other 3 points which are not so main in the thrust. So the whole 2,580 kilometers border of Hyderabad state was pierced through this operation. Major General Rudra was the man who was coming from east, as we have discussed. Chaudhary was coming from west. General Rudra leading from east side, Andhra side. Chaudhary from Bombay side. And when we discuss about Indian Army or Operation Polo, most of us understood and know that only this Indian Army, it was not just army, it was Air Force Operation 2. Indian Air Force, Army and Indian Air Force both together acted. Airstrips of Hyderabad state bombed like Raichur, Hakimpet, Bidar, Warangal, Adilabad, Aurangabad, all these areas were bombed by Air Force. Why they were bombing the airstrips here? Because Hyderabad state should not get any support from the external force, or Hyderabad state should not have access to the flying of the officers or something from here to there. So they have bombed first, and army is also entering. Tanks used, Sherman tanks, lighter tanks, all these things rolled in. You can see the images in this. And important centers on the west side occupied like Usmanabad, Kalyani, Naldurg, these are the towns occupied. And east side, Munagala, Paragana, the border, actually Munagala is the border between Krishna and Nalgonda. So Munagala Paragana or Munagala area was occupied, and army was stationed at Munagala, Suryapeta, then proceeded towards Nakrekal. And this is happening. And BB Nagar, this is very crucial in Operation Polo. From BB Nagar side means if we think about BB Nagar train route towards Warangal, you have BB Nagar. This BB Nagar route was taken by surprise. Hyderabad army was not expecting the Indian army from BB Nagar side, but the news of BB Nagar, Indian army reaching BB Nagar was a big element of surprise, and that was the fall of Hyderabad state. Because BB Nagar is very important, it is just nearby Hyderabad. If army is coming up to BB Nagar railway station, if they enter into Hyderabad state, what would be the fate of the Hyderabad city? There will be a warlike situation. Army will be entering into it. If communal rights are breaking, and if army is fighting the civilians, there will be a bloodbath. This was the concern of Hyderabad state, Hyderabad military, Hyderabad government. So that is why when the army has entered, Indian army has entered BB Nagar, on the other side, on 17th evening itself, Indian army from west side under Major General Rudra reached the outskirts of Secunderabad. So two sides there are Indian army stationed. So Hyderabad is under just attack. So that is why on 17th September evening itself at 5 p.m. Nizam has announced a ceasefire. It is not just a military action. It is not 𝗟𝗏𝗧𝗏 or Nizam talking. It is Nizam and Munshi is also talking. Munshi is the political representative from center. So all these things are happening in political field and at the same time military field. So conclusion of Operation Polo is happening because of the Indian forces entering at BB Nagar hastened the political developments, as I said. Then, because they know what has happened in Kalyani or Usmanabad or Bidar, there was a serious bloodbath in all these towns when army has entered. We are not going into those details how it has happened. But there was serious violence and many people were killed in all these towns. So to avoid such things to happen in Hyderabad state, Operation Polo was successful and ceasefire happened. So concluding is nothing but the politics. War is the continuation of politics. This is a famous saying. When you can't do politics, you go into war. When war has forced you to take political action, what will happen? When the armies are at your doorstep, the cabinet of Hyderabad will resign. Layakali, the Prime Minister, Pingali 𝗬𝗃𝗻𝗺, the Deputy CM, and other cabinet ministers resigned. And 𝗂𝗽𝗻𝗺 offered Nizam, this is an offer from Indian government, to retain Berar. Berar was under the son of Nizam. So 𝗂𝗽𝗻𝗺 was offered Berar to continue his rule from Berar. This was assurance given by central government to Nizam through 𝗂𝗻𝗺, who was the interlocutor we call today. He was the agent general at Hyderabad. So 17 September evening, Nizam announced the draft prepared by 𝗂𝗻𝗺, surrender draft. Nizam is saying that I am welcoming the Indian army troops into Hyderabad state. This happened on Deccan radio. So on September 18th, formal surrender of Idrus before 𝗳𝗻𝗺𝗃, and immediately after that, I said I will talk about Nizam when I am talking about this one. Nizam immediately, according to the reports or according to some of the accounts, what was happening, Nizam went to Munshi and said that these vultures have resigned. When the cabinet has resigned, Nizam said vultures have resigned. What do you mean by that? When you say vultures have resigned, Nizam is disowning his own cabinet and trying to make friendship with the new dispensation or 𝗂𝗻𝗺 and saying that I am going to create or I am going to form a new cabinet. And Nizam tried to form a new ministry and went to Chowdhury. And Chowdhury said, nothing doing, no ministry, no new ministry, it's martial law. So declaration of martial law on 18th, and without accepting the proposal of Nizam to form a new cabinet and have a rule. So finally, Munshi was completely disappointed with all these things, because Munshi is the person who is carrying the message of Nehru and saying that you can continue at Berar and Hyderabad should be given up. So Nizam was also under the impression that he will be continuing. But when General Chowdhury has declared martial law, all these things have gone. So Nehru was contacted by Munshi saying that I am disappointed. Then Nehru said, don't interfere in Hyderabad affairs and let the 𝗳𝗻𝗺𝗃 do it. So what do you understand with this? So finally, the military and central government understanding of complete accession without giving any concession to Nizam is happening. So 𝗳𝗻𝗺𝗃 takes as the military administrator, military governor, and from 19 September 1948 till December 1st, 1949, 𝗳𝗻𝗺𝗃 was at the command. He was controlling the affairs in Hyderabad state. Velodi became the chief minister in 1949, civilian administrator from December 1st, but effectively from 26 January under constitution. So in this meanwhile, Nizam issues an unsigned farman declaring the merger of Hyderabad state with Indian Union. So who is making the merger declaration? Nizam is making. So automatically Indian government will not be at fault. So all these things are political happening in this period. And the end of the rule came in terms of Mir Usman Ali Khan, sworn in as Raj Pramukh, now not the Raja. He is just Raj Pramukh. Raj Pramukh is equivalent to governor. In 1950, he was sworn in as Raj Pramukh, and he continued as Raj Pramukh till 1956. He got a huge privy purse, means the compensation. All princely states heads got the privy purses based on their income, based on their strength, based on the greatness of their princely state. Nizam was first offered 50 lakh per annum, but Nizam again within 1 month he pursued and finally settled to 1 crore per annum. So 1 crore per annum privy purse and all the rights on movable, immovable properties of Nizam and his family will be retained, like gold, jewelry, precious stones, and all those things will be retained by Nizam's family. And they will be enjoying the same status in terms of what you call facilities. They will be continued. So this was the proposal of Nizam and accepted by the military government. So Nizam has settled well. But what has happened to the officials? They were under arrest, house arrest for months. Some people fled, some people were arrested. Like 𝗧𝗦𝗃 Ali was under house arrest for months. When he was arrested, when 1948, then this surrender is happening, immediately his house was surrounded by all the tanks. For 2 or 3 days, tanks were there. And immediately after that, he was not allowed to move out and he was under house arrest. And finally, one day he escaped and went to Pakistan. Then 𝗂𝗽𝗍, the leader of Razakars, he was arrested on 19th. On 18th, formal surrender. On 19th, this man, 𝗂𝗽𝗍, was arrested. And he was tried mainly in 3 cases, means these are the important cases. And he was in jail till 1959. One case was Bibi Nagar dacoity case. The other case was the killing of a famous journalist by his people, Razakars, 𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗓 Khan. 𝗪𝗪𝗓 Khan, a great journalist who was writing against Nizam, was killed by Razakars. So that case. So all the 3 cases, 𝗂𝗽𝗍 was imprisoned. And finally, he was released and he went to Pakistan, died in Pakistan in 1970s. And Razakar organization was banned. Indian troops, after Razakars banned, within 2 or 3 months maximum, not even 3 months, within 2 months, because Nizam got surrendered and there are no other forces to fight Indian Union. So Razakar was not the main issue after the entry of Indian Union's army. But they were still in pursuit of the other rebels, which are communists. Like Indian forces were trying to suppress the communist movement, which is popularly known as Telangana armed struggle in Hyderabad state. Telangana armed struggle is an anti-feudal struggle. Anti-feudal struggle has liberated lot of areas, means 10 lakh acres were liberated from the feudal landlords, 3,000 villages were liberated, and now Indian Union does not want the communist guerrillas to rule the rural scenario. Sardar Patel particularly, he was not happy with communist movement always. He said within some weeks he is going to pluck, or he is going to kill, or he is going to remove all the communists from Telangana state or Hyderabad state. But it did not happen, unfortunately, for Sardar Patel. Even after that, communist movement continued for long. Even armed struggle continued till 52. Though Sardar Patel said within few months, a few weeks, he is going to suppress the communist movement. Indian troops pulled out only after suppressing the communist movement in 1952. 1951, they have declared the stopping of armed struggle and joined the elections. So automatically, there is no question of Indian army fighting the communists, and finally they have pulled out. So this is happening after Operation Polo. This is end of military activity. So what are the casualties? According to J.N. Chowdhury, the military, in his autobiography, he says clearly, 1,200 Razakars were killed and wounded, 450 captured, and from army side, there are only 10 casualties. Exactly opposite dimension was given by Pandit Sundarlal committee. Pandit Sundarlal committee appointed by Nehru says 25,000 to 30,000 Muslims were killed, and many Muslims lost property and left their native towns as the hoodlums, the anarchic fellows or the goons supported by Indian army, because they are not disbanding them, they are attacking Muslims. Indian army was mute spectators or supporters. This is written in the document. They did not stop. So huge number of Muslim families had to leave their places. This is the report of Pandit Sundarlal committee. And it's not a committee, it's a committee comprising of 3 people, multi-religious people, like Sundarlal, a Hindu, Kashmiri Pandit, Pandit Sundarlal, Qazi Abdul Ghaffar, Maulana Abdullah Misri. So it is not a biased one, and this document was a what you call, it is pointing out the excess of army. So Sardar Patel did not want to have this report to be open. So that is why this document was there in the lockers as a secret document till 2013 in Teen-Murthy Bhavan, Nehru Memorial Library. And only recently it became a public document. That is why we could understand. And this document was not written very haphazardly. They have toured extensively. They have toured 9 districts, 7 district headquarters, 21 towns, villages, met many people, took the information, like the civil administrator, 𝗂𝗏𝗧𝗧 was met, 𝗳𝗬𝗧 and Congress leaders, they met and took the information. They toured Osmanabad, Gulbarga, Bidar, Nanded, which are worst affected areas. So this is a conservative estimate, they say. They say conservative. Conservative means less. Even Pandit Sundarlal committee says this is a conservative estimate. Whereas it is 1200 by 𝗳𝗬𝗧, it is 25 to 30,000 by Sundarlal. So this is the one. So thus, the last part of your military aspect is the casualties I talked about. After the military government was established, now forget about the Operation Polo, forget about establishment of merger of Hyderabad state into Indian Union. Now it is part of Indian Union for all purposes. Though the whole course will take some time for a proper merger, but who is ruling this Hyderabad state? Now it is part of the Indian Union. You can say from 17 September onwards, this has become part of the Indian Union. It is not Nizam who can dictate terms. But you have different phases. The first phase is the military government phase. 𝗳𝗬𝗧, who was appointed as military administrator. Nizam was issuing the farmans because that is legal. Nizam still a ruler, a nominal head, and the rule is military rule. And civil administrator was appointed Mr. 𝗳𝗏𝗧𝗏, who was looking after railways, home, political affairs, such things. Some ministers were there under the military governor also, like Nawab-Yar Jung, Raja Dhonde Raj. All these people were assisting this military rule. On December 6, 1948, Nizam has issued a farman, dissolution of Hyderabad legislature. But for all practical purposes, by December 6, 1948, there was no legislature because military government is there. November 1949, Hyderabad is becoming part of, it is coming under the Constitution of India. And from 26th January, for all practical purposes, it is constitutionally part of Indian Union. So what were the policies of military government? Immediately after the military government took over, they have arrested all the officials of Nizam. They have shown anti-Muslim attitude, arrested chief secretary, engineering chief, DGPs, collectors, SPs, tahsildars, and thousands of, hundreds of officers were sacked. Thousands of Muslims in military, police exercise were sacked. So, first point is anti-Nizam government, means officially you are dealing with the officials, so you are arresting and you are putting them behind bars. And the second thing is Muslims, anti-Muslim bias was there. This was talked by Nehru even under 𝗹𝗏𝗺 government, remember. So, this is the major aspect of military government. Military government, you don't talk much about civil administration, though they are trying to do it. Main thing aspect about military government is the land reform which was brought in, that is the Hyderabad abolition of Jagirdar rules, 14 September 1949. Why this has to be brought is to take away the surface lands of Nizam they have brought in. Means if you have to make Nizam powerless, you have to take the lands of Nizam also. This Hyderabad rules, abolition of Jagirdars, is to take away the surface lands of Nizam. This is happening under military rule. Then, suppression of Telangana armed struggle is another aspect under military government I talked about. And during this period, 𝗬𝗏𝗪 𝗬𝗏 or many other communists who are writing their memoirs or accounts of this period, they have clearly said, lot of atrocities committed by Indian army on the communists in Telangana. Communists, they are Indian people. If for all said and done, they are Indian people now because they are part of Indian constitution. They are part of Indian Union, but communists were dealt with a very harsh methods, like Captain Nanjappa, one military man. His camps were notorious for the atrocities on communists, for the what you call physical tortures on communists. So in the entire episode from 1948 to 51, 2000 communists were killed and thousands arrested and tortured. So this is under military government. Then comes the civil administration, 𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗺𝗧. Then comes the civil administration. Then comes the civil administration. 𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗺𝗧 was appointed as chief minister, a civilian rule to stop military rule, because there were accusations on military because of their high-handedness, anti-Muslim bias and all these things, the debates in parliament. So finally a civilian government is coming. It was effective from 1st December 1949. So they have formed a cabinet. In that cabinet you can see many people like Nawab Jain-Yarjung, M. Sheshadraji, C.V.S. Rao, Burgula Ramakrishna Rao, V.B. Raju, Fulchand Gandhi, Vinayak Rao Vidyalankar, all these people were having their portfolios. But what are the major aspects of the civil government? In both military and civil governments, there was a raw deal for both Muslims and Hindu mulkis. I am saying mulkis. It is not just anti-Muslim bias. Muslims were removed from police, revenue and military. It's one thing. Second thing is appointment into different jobs. Mulkis should be appointed, but both under civil and military, mulkis were not getting jobs. English educated people from Madras, Bombay, Central Province were recruited. Injustice was done because English and Telugu was favored in the place of Urdu. So automatically what you are doing? You are bringing in people who are English educated, are trained by British, are trained in the British India. And second thing is, as I said, anti-Muslim attitude is always there during this period. So military government has amended the 1919 Mulki Farman of Nizam slightly and issued a new thing, Hyderabad Civil Services Regulation Act. But this act is not a big deal because it did not make any justice to mulkis. Anti-Muslim bias was discussed by Nehru also. That is why Nehru wrote a letter to N.G. Iyengar, who was the chief secretary. He said, attitude towards Muslim civil servants is objectionable and with communal bias. This was the thing Nehru was talking about. So finally, if we take the estimates, it is 7,000 to 8,000 non-mulkis were appointed in this entire period. And in the 7,000 to 8,000 non-mulkis, 3,111 were in police, and these people were from Andhra region of Madras province. So what do you understand? By 1950 itself, you can see the influx into Hyderabad state from Andhra. So civil administration and military administration, both done injustice to mulki issue. This is showing upon the Hyderabad state. In 1952, when Burgula Ramakrishna Rao becomes the chief minister, democratically elected, he has to face the first anti-non-mulki agitation or mulki agitation or Idli Sambar go back movement, we call it as. So Gair mulkis were asked, and when did the Gair mulkis settle? This is the period, Vellodi and Jain Chaudhary. So to conclude the civil administration's things, main aspect was establishing a civilian rule in Hyderabad state from feudal and military phase. Actually, till Nizam surrendered, it is a feudal state. After that, it is a military state. So Vellodi's period is the civilian administration. This is respite. Second thing is regaining the developmental phase, because under feudal, last years of Nizam was not so good. It was because Telangana armed struggle was going on. Razakars were there. Nizam was in a hurry to settle as an independent kingdom. And Indian Union is coming up. So all these things did not allow Nizam to think about the developmental aspects which he was thinking before 1940s. So 40s, post-40s, it is completely a different story. So regained the developmental phase in Hyderabad state. That is why when we are talking about the Finance Commission Ghorwala Committee report, financially the economic aspect of Hyderabad state was discussed by Ghorwala, and this is the phase Ghorwala Committee's recommendations are implemented under civilian government. and because of that only again Hyderabad could gain the equilibrium on economic front. So this is one achievement of civilian government. Attempts to dilute some provisions in 1949 Mulki rule is already there. How they have diluted? Knowledge of Telugu is important, Kannada is important, and Marathi is important. This is additional qualification. Once you make this additional qualification, what will happen? The people who are well versed in Telugu from Andhra state are entering into Hyderabad for jobs. This amendment, this what you call making a small dent on the rule, Mulki rules, is very important under civil administration. That is why in 1950 January itself, 𝗂𝗽 Rangareddy, Konna Venkat Rangareddy demanded deadline to limit the appointments of non-Mulkis in Hyderabad state. And he said Mulkis only should be appointed. Mulkis in government jobs. You set a deadline. After that, you will not take any non-Mulki into job. This was the demand of 𝗂𝗽 Rangareddy in 1950. So finally, if we talk about Mulki violations under military and Velodi were the basis for 1950 anti-Mulki agitation. So, to sum up, what has happened between 1947 August 15th to 1952 with the democratically elected government is coming to power is from feudal to democratically elected state, passing through different stages. One is feudal, then military, then civilian government. Operation Polo was the instrument. In the examination, I am giving all the bits, smaller bits in objective type, but as far as mains is concerned, descriptive answer is concerned, descriptive question is concerned, importance of Operation Polo and merger of merger of Hyderabad state into Indian Union. I repeat, as far as the mains is concerned, the question can be, write a detailed note about the importance of Operation Polo, political happenings during this period of merger with Indian Union, Hyderabad state's merger with Indian Union. This is the exhaustive thing. As TSPSC has said that our questions will be at par with UPSC. It can be not direct, it can be twisted. Like the political happenings of Hyderabad state after India became independent is very crucial in terms of Indian polity. Explain. This, he will not talk about military action. He will not talk about Velodi and all those things, but he'll ask indirectly. So take this as the question. Indirect question or